Our nation's sports show. Tonight, we break down the latest breaking news in the National Football League. On Monday, it was announced that Justin Jefferson, one of the top NFL wide receivers of the game today, got paid big-time money, staying with the Minnesota Vikings for 4 years. Tonight, we break down all of the details of this massive contract that will for sure change the market on paying wide receivers. Also tonight, we begin our coverage of the 2024 NBA Finals. This Thursday, the finals gets underway at TD Bank North Garden in Boston. It will be the Boston Celtics, led by Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, facing the Dallas Mavericks, led by one of the most dominant backcourt duos in the game today, Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. For the next couple of weeks, our nation's sports show has you covered on this year's NBA Finals. Will the Celtics claim their 18th title in franchise history, or will the Mavericks stun the basketball world and win their second title in franchise history? Also tonight, we recap UFC 302 from this past weekend. It's showtime.
Put up to the court, talking all that is sport, breaking down the latest news, scores, and more. Welcome to our Nation Sports Show.
Oh my gosh. Look at this, guys. We're here. And we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you to Steven for taking over because technology fucking sucks. It sucks. It sucks worse than Lulu does. And John's gonna kill me for saying it because that's an album we're not supposed to say in public. What's going on, everybody? Our Nation Sports Show is live, and we are back once again. Thank you so much for joining us. We have a action-packed show for you tonight. Definitely a lot to get into to start off the week. Of course, we got the NHL, we got Stanley Cup Finals, the NBA Finals to talk about. We've got, of course, all the news in the world of sports. We'll be talking everything from Major League Baseball to UFC and everything in between. So get ready for about an hour and a half to 2 hours worth of great sports talk and some little, maybe some metal stuff, maybe some wrestling stuff if we get the time, but we'll see. The ways you can interact with us, of course, are _sports show on Twitter, Facebook.com/Our Nation Sports Show, Instagram.com/Our Nation Sports Show, and of course, live on the YouTube at right here at Our Nation Sports Show. Like, subscribe, share with your friends, your family, your enemies. Who cares? Share with everybody. Subscribe, and also join us in the chat. We would love to hear from you guys. We love to hear your opinions. We love to hear you guys' talking points about the topics we're going to be discussing tonight. So definitely get in with us. Also, don't forget to follow Nation's Corner at the Nation's Corner on the YouTube, Nation's Corner on Twitter, and Instagram at the Nation's Corner as well. Hit them up on the YouTube, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific time. Same time as our show on Saturdays, where the guy and gal talk all things professional wrestling. And yes, we say professional wrestling on this show and every other show, not sports entertainment. And trust me, they got a lot to talk about coming off this past week, including the Liv Morgan stuff on Monday Night Raw. Everything that's going to happen on SmackDown this Friday. Of course, tonight, NXT with the debut of Jordynne Grace, your TNA Knockouts champion, making her official NXT debut tonight in a match against Stevie Turner. So check that out tonight. That starts at the top of the hour, but don't forget to also follow Too Sweet Cosplay across all socials. Too Sweet Cosplay, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you go. Of course, we got a lot going on. We got some stuff going on this summer, different appearances. Right now, we're kind of on a little small break, but our next scheduled appearance, anyways, we will be hanging out at Fan Expo, which is of course is the first weekend of August. At the Donald E. Stevens Convention Center in Rosemont, Illinois. If you're going to be in town, you can get 3-day passes and single-day passes at fanexpochicago.com. Panel times, if we do a panel, are to be determined, so keep an eye on our social media for more. Man, I'm just exhausted from doing that read. All right, everybody, see you later. No, I'm kidding. We got a lot to get into, but let's get into the people who are in charge, who are not helping me out with the show, who are my colleagues, who are my sports show brothers. And let's start off with, of course, the man at the bottom of my screen, but at the top of the world in sports. And I'm talking about usually his baseball team, Atlanta Braves, and not the Alabama Crimson Tide. The man himself, Joey Thornton. What's going on, man?
What is going on, everybody? And in regards to the Atlanta Braves, I'm going to have something to say about them later on, so stay tuned for that because you're going to want to hear it. But for right now, what is going on, everybody? Hope everybody's having an amazing Taco Tuesday. And yes, I said Taco Tuesday because I myself had some tacos tonight for supper, so I'm on cloud 9 right now, ready to talk some sports with you guys. So without further ado, let's get to the show. Yeah.
I'm on cloud 9 because there might be a little something in this cup outside of Code Red. I don't know. We'll find out here in a few hours. Nah, I'm kidding. It's just strictly Code Red. I'm not drinking tonight. But I may not have alcohol, but I do have the next best thing, and that is my heavy metal brother from the great state of North Carolina. A man who I know is one of the best, not only one of the best sports people, one of the best drummers on the planet. Well, one of the best drummers on the planet that's, well, not famous, not making millions of dollars and touring around the world, but he's still one of the best drummers. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my heavy metal brother, of course, Big Stevie Wyand. What's going on, man?
What is going on, everybody? Yes, we are here. We are live. And it's going to be a great show with you guys as the NBA Finals begin this Thursday in Beantown in Boston between the Celtics and the Mavericks. And we got some news to talk about from the NFL for the last couple of days. There were some gambling problems in baseball once again. There was a MMA pay-per-view this past weekend in New Jersey in the shadows of New York City with UFC 302. Yes, sorry, Dave.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is why Bill Greco will never come on the show.
But anyways, yeah, we are here. Let's do this, fellas. Let's go.
Oh yeah, we got a lot to get into, as I always say on the show. We do. Before we begin, though, I do want to send out a couple of things. Well, actually, just one thing, and that is a local promotion of mine, ARW Pro Wrestling in Lake Station, Indiana, is unfortunately hurting today. Last night, they got some of the performers there at the promotion got a call that one of their own unfortunately passed away, and that was a guy by the name of Santana Starks. That's his ring name. He's known as Superbad Santana Starks. He passed away at the age of 42 years old last night. So a lot of the talent, who I know, a couple of them I'm pretty close, I'm friends with. So I know they're hurting today. I know that it's a rough day for them. So just from everybody here and everybody, who loves professional wrestling, we want to send our condolences and prayers to family, friends, and coworkers of Santana Starks. he was a guy he was a local guy, did a lot of local wrestling, did Anarchy Pro, did POW Wrestling, POWW. If you're in the Fox Lake, Illinois area, you know what that is. Run by an old person I love to talk to all the time, Jim Blaze. And of course, an ARW Pro standout, especially in its resurgence in the early to mid 2010s. So definitely he'll be missed, and just want to send a shout out to all to the ARW Pro guys, especially those I know. My buddy Jesse Rodriguez, Max Holiday, Joey Boom Boom, of course, the owner. I definitely want to send out some some positive vibes to them and say condolences and prayers to you guys, and to the family. We prayers and condolences to you too, and we hope that this is as easy of a transition as possible. So definitely want to send that out to them real quick before we start the show. All right, let's get right into it, guys. We got a lot to do, and that is let's get started with the NFL. And of course, the big news that came out over the past couple days, and that is that after finally a little bit of a stretch and wondering what the next step was for this guy, we finally got our answer. And that is, of course, Justin Jefferson has re-signed with the Minnesota Vikings in a huge record-breaking deal. Justin Jefferson here re-signed a 4-year contract extension worth $140 million, including $110 million of it in guaranteed money, making him the highest-paid non-quarterback in NFL history. Also, it extends his contract through the 2028 season as well. So, Vikings get their star wide receiver back. He gets paid big. All seems to be good in the world of Minnesota. Now he gets a team with a new young quarterback for that team. It should be very, very interesting. Your guys' thoughts on the Vikings re-signing Justin Jefferson to a long-term extension?
Long overdue. Long overdue. I mean, from day one, whenever he got drafted by the Minnesota Vikings, Justin Jefferson, or as we better known him as Jay Jettis, he knew he was going to be a star.
Yeah.
Now, granted, it is going to be a little bit tougher this year because, for one, Minnesota doesn't have a veteran quarterback at their helm right now because rumors are circulating and pointing to the fact that their first-round draft choice, former Michigan quarterback J.J. McCarthy, is going to be their Week 1 starter. But, of course, it's just rumors right now. Nothing's confirmed. But that's where signs are pointing to right now. So I'll admit, for Jay Jettis, it is going to be a little bit tougher this year. But for the years that he has had a veteran quarterback at the helm, Jay Jettis has gone off on so many levels. Now, he did miss some time last year because of an injury, but whenever he is out there on that field, he lights up secondaries, he lights up defenses in general, and most importantly, he lights up the scoreboard. So, Jay Jettis, long overdue on a long-term deal. Chances are it was going to come at some point here at the beginning of the season. So, now that it is here, and now that he has officially put pen to paper, all I got to say is congratulations, Jay Jettis. Now go out there and play like you earn it.
I love this contract on so many levels for Jefferson because he has proven in and time out on that gridiron, on that football field, that he is pound for pound the best physical wide receiver in the National Football League today. I mean, just no catch is uncatchable for this guy. I mean, just the way a defender could be over the top of him, he can still find a small crease of a gap to reach up and grab the ball. I mean, who can forget the catch that he had against the Buffalo Bills a couple years ago when the defender looked like he had him pinned and he still leaped up and caught the ball? I mean, just he has proven his consistency when he is healthy, and I'm happy for him that he basically yesterday reset the market on wide receivers getting paid. And one CD Lamb is sitting there going, I want my money too. And Justin Jefferson is basically, as of this moment in time, he has single-handedly changed the game of getting paid for wide receivers.
Yes, he has. And it's a very interesting point to bring up CeeDee Lamb there, Steve, because I happened to see an article floating around on the ESPN app today that said that a certain wide receiver, CeeDee Lamb, who is looking for a new deal, was absent from mandatory minicamp today. So that is definitely an interesting storyline, especially for Dallas fans.
So I wonder.
But of course, now that Jay Jettis has his record contract, like you said, Steve, CeeDee Lamb is probably sitting at home right now wondering, so when am I going to get my contract?
So
I earn it. I deserve it.
So I'm wondering, when
it
comes to CeeDee Lamb, if he doesn't get what he wants, is he going to retreat like Aaron Rodgers in the darkness?
It wouldn't surprise me.
I mean,
it would not surprise me.
I mean, anything can happen. I mean, stranger things have happened in the NFL and in sports in general.
That is true.
But it's crazy because, I mean, when you look at the quarterbacks that have resetted the market, and the running backs, and we'll get to that as well. But Justin Jefferson, as far as wide receivers are concerned, like, my goodness. I mean, this is way long overdue. I mean, came into the league 3 years ago and just lit the league on fire. I mean, just what an incredible specimen of a wide receiver he is.
Yeah, he is. He's an unbelievable wide receiver, and definitely reset that market for everybody. But you talked about just a second ago. You mentioned about quarterbacks reset. Talk about quarterbacks resetting the market. Talk about resetting the market. Here's a wide receiver that reset the market. That is, of course, Run CMC himself, Mr. Christian McCaffrey. He signed a 2-year extension with the 49ers, averaging $19 million per year. He'll receive an additional $8 million over what was scheduled to make it in the first 2 years, while adding $24 million guarantees.
Well, that right there helps out the Niners' fortunes because Run CMC was the best pound-for-pound dual-threat running back in the NFL last year, and just not only could he catch the ball in the flat, and he could go deep if he wanted to, but obviously where he makes his bread and his butter is running in between the tackles and to the outside as a dangerous running back. I mean, just the way McCaffrey just attacks the line of scrimmage. I mean, just he is a physical threat, and he's an offensive threat that defenses, they're up all night, and they having sleepless nights, and they're just wondering, how can we attack this guy, because he's so hard, to guard and so hard to tackle within the box.
I mean, CMC is a dominant running back. I mean, he's definitely one of the best running backs, if not the best running back out there on the market right now. So for him to sign this extension with undoubtedly the best looking team, both offensively and defensively on paper, I mean, this is just a sign of big things to come for CMC. Now, granted, he is still going to have those injury concerns back when he was a member of Steven's favorite team, the Carolina Panthers.
Wrong.
But whenever CMC is on the field, the dude is a monster. The dude makes plays. He gets yards. He scores touchdowns. He does whatever he needs to do to be as productive as humanly possible. So kudos to CMC on this extension.
And it was bound to happen because running backs have been wanting to get paid, rightly so, because they are a key contributing factor to how teams can be successful, because in the NFL, you cannot be a one-dimensional team as far as passing the ball. I mean, yes, we know that passing has become the norm in the National Football League for the past, 10, 15, years or so. but running backs have to do their job too. And you have to have a running back to, let the defense, respect you. Because if you're a one-dimensional team, they're going to attack you and expose your weaknesses.
Yeah, that's very true.
Good for Christian McCaffrey.
Very, very true. And I do want to make a small little testament before we move on to the next storyline. And I have officially done some research. And Ezra, you're going to want to pay attention to this because I found out that our very own Stephen Wyand is indeed a secret Carolina Panthers fan.
No,
and
I am not.
Because he has Panther jerseys and a Carolina Panthers DVD in his bedroom.
Hey. Wait. Okay. On the contrary, however, the Panthers DVD that I have, I should say, is when the Panthers were actually worth a shit. Now they are worth shit. They are worth shit at the bottom of the freaking commode. And that Cam Newton jersey, that is when Cam Newton was actually worth the damn on the football field, and now he is worth a pile of crap. I hear you laughing over there, smart ass.
Come on, Steven. Just admit it, man. Just admit it.
I'll admit right now that you're an asshole for doing this.
Steven, admittance is the first step to recovery.
I'm gonna call that blind gate because this is some bullshit.
Hey, but I know you never saw it coming. Moving on.
Yeah, but I will say though, if Big T is watching, I'm sure he's celebrating right now.
Mm-hmm. He's like, yay! He's a secret Panthers fan! Yay!
Speaking of the Panthers, they were talking about one of the articles I was reading just a second ago. They were talking about proposing a new stadium for the Panthers when they can't build their own fucking team to win a championship.
Wait. Hold up. Is this idiot going to try to let's get the team into a dome? Are you kidding me? You can't even fill your own ballpark with the majority of Panther fans because everything that comes into your ball into your football field.
Okay, I'm sorry. It's stadium renovations. Never mind.
Oh, thank God.
Okay, I thought it was a new stadium.
Ooh, I'm fixing to say.
It's just to bring in. It says new upgrades potentially coming. It says City of Charlotte and Panthers owners David and Nicole Tepper shared a proposal for major stadium renovations that shows serious investment in a 30-year-old stadium. So new design video screens outside the building, outside the north gate. Redone areas of like press boxes and stuff, and new look to the inside of the stadium around different areas. So that's what it is. It's more or less just
thank God,
make it look nice. So we can calm down on that one.
Yeah, I mean, because David Tepper's, other than that, he's a horrible owner, and
yeah,
I mean, this is far from what the Panthers were, years ago when they were good.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, of course.
But still, all these renovations supposedly are going to cost a grand total of about $1.3 billion, and honestly, they could have used some of that money to bolster their team, perhaps.
Exactly.
Because I mean, they spent some somewhat good money on trying to revamp the offensive line this year, which was definitely their biggest weakness, but still, using $1.3 billion to do some renovations for your stadium instead of trying to revamp your team. Once again, Tepper, you don't know what being an NFL owner is all about. Neither does Jerry Jones, but I digress.
Yeah, we definitely we got other news to get into, and there's a lot, trust me, this week in the world of the NFL. And a lot of it not good. One of the big news stories coming out of the NFL was it was announced, I believe it was last week, that former Jacksonville Jaguars kicker, now former Washington Commanders kicker Brandon McManus has been hit with a sexual assault lawsuit from an incident that happened while he was at Jacksonville on a plane. Well, when he was part of the Commanders at this time, but as of 2 days ago, the Commanders have released him from his contract, and so the Commanders start their OTAs without a kicker.
Well, actually, rephrase that. Washington has now officially added a kicker. Now, granted, it's not somebody who is worldly known right now, but let me just pull the guy's name up real quick here.
Okay.
Let's
see here.
Yes.
Okay.
The guy's name is Ramiz Ahmed, and he is apparently the former kicker for the Birmingham Stallions of the UFL. So we have
interesting.
So we have signed him to a contract to, as of right now, be our starting kicker. But there is reports that we are still wanting to bring in a veteran to try to compete with him. So as of right now, we do have a kicker. It's just probably not one that we're going to start the season with.
Yeah. Also, real quick, Kansas City Chiefs defensive lineman Isaiah Bucks has turned himself into the Tuscaloosa County Jail on Thursday after he allegedly mistreated 2 dogs.
Jeez, another one of those dog situations.
Yes, animal cruelty.
Yeah, only this time it wasn't like Michael Vick and him fighting dogs.
Yeah.
He was actually leaving dogs out, like with no food, no water.
Yeah, that's not cool.
Not taking
abandoning them.
Yeah. Also some good news coming out of Chicago as well for Chicago Bears fans, and that is that the Bears will be the subject of Hard Knocks this year. So the Chicago Bears are officially part of the HBO Hard Knocks series. So, which I'm excited to see on that front. Of course, it'll feature, the new quarterbacks, the new players, all different sorts of stuff. It should be interesting to watch. Let's see here. What else? Here we go. You talk about contracts and all that. How about Jalen Waddle?
Oh yes, that's right. Mr. Jalen Waddle got paid.
Yep, $84.75 million, 3 years, including $76 million of it guaranteed to stay with the Dolphins.
So 2 top receivers got paid.
Long overdue. I mean, he's the Dolphins' number 2 receiver for a reason behind Tyreek.
And when he can stay healthy, he's definitely a person that you can't take your eyes off the field, guard and down the field, because Tyreek is the number 1 threat in Miami, but Jalen Waddle, man, when he puts the burners on, you can't catch him.
There's such a big. Both of those guys are big threats within the on the field, especially deep. You got to watch Jalen Waddle, because Jalen Waddle gets in that slant route or gets out open. Good luck. Good luck catching him, and good luck trying to.
Good luck.
Defend him, man.
Trust me. Whenever Jalen Waddle was at the University of Alabama, it was hard for people to catch him, because I was watching him week in and week out. Anytime he took a slanted pass, five seconds later, no matter how far away he was from the end zone, 5 seconds later, the dude was in the end zone, because he is just that fast.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Also, restricted free agent wide receiver Juwan Jennings has signed a 2-year deal with the 49ers worth up to $15.4 million, including $10.5 million guaranteed.
Once again, a great deal.
It's a nice deal by San Francisco.
Absolutely. And here's some unfortunate news, and that was some news that broke earlier. I believe it was earlier today or yesterday. That was the passing of Dallas Cowboys legend Larry Allen. He unfortunately passed away.
Yeah, it was very sad. I mean, he was on a vacation with his family in Mexico, and then all of a sudden he just drops over dead.
Yeah, 52 years old.
So
man.
sad.
It's tough, to be out there having fun with your family, and all of a sudden, just like that, it's unfortunate, and just awful for the family. They're out there having the time of their lives, and just like that, it sucks.
That's why the old adage, you never know.
Yep.
So I want to, of course, condolences and prayers go out to the family, friends, teammates, and to the Cowboys organization for the passing of Larry Allen. So definitely want to send that out there. Also, another news: Giants tight end Darren Waller is likely to make a decision by next week's mandatory minicamp about his player future, but it's expected that he is actually going to announce that he is going to retire. So
Darren Waller was a decent tight end. I mean, yeah, he wasn't on the same level of popularity as a George Kittle, Mark Andrews, and Travis Kelce, but
Or Gronkowski,
he's still a very decent tight end.
yep, and I agree. Yeah, definitely. But also too is that the Kansas City Chiefs visited the White House a couple days ago after they won the Super Bowl, of course, and got to meet, of course, President Joe Biden. Gifted him a Kansas City Chiefs helmet as well. The, of course, teams with their annual visit to the president to the White House and all that, so we had that going on. But I think the biggest news of the week, outside of the signing of Justin Jefferson and Jalen Waddle, or the contract extensions, was the shock signing by the Buffalo Bills of Olympic gold wrestler Gable Steveson.
stunning.
The man who was said to
Stunning.
be
Absolutely
the man who
stunning.
was said to be a WWE superstar, a man who was touted to be the next big thing in pro wrestling, no pun intended, to Brock Lesnar, and it ended up changing careers. And instead of throwing on tights and running the ropes, he's throwing on pads and running the field. And it makes sense with a physical guy like Gable Steveson. He's going to be a defensive tackle, and it's incredible. It's incredible to see this guy who, like I said, who was originally supposed to be the next big thing in professional wrestling and was supposed to be highly touted as the next like Kurt Angle. And all of a sudden he decides, you know what, wrestling's not my thing. It's not going to work out. You know what, let's go for a slot in the NFL. And he's a big physical guy, 200 something pounds of pure power and force. So
he is going to be a physical specimen on the football field. I mean, he is a freakish athlete, and I love it. I love that he's taking a chance, on doing a new career path. Pro wrestling didn't work out for him, and sometimes it doesn't work out for those, for people. But if you have a secondary plan, sometimes plan B takes over plan A. And sometimes your first instincts on your backup plans turns out to be your best. And I think that this is going to work out for him in the long run. I mean, because he's talented, he's a skillful athlete, and just an incredible, incredible athlete. And he is going to have, I think, a great career in the NFL.
I think so too. It's a matter of Gable Steveson got in trouble with some at the time it was unfounded claims, but some claims of him something involved, I think it was in either sexual assault route or something that was pretty bad in the eyes of the IWC and everything. But that's near here or there. Right now, I know he's wanting to focus on making this his next leg of his career, and I think he can do it. But obviously, there's a big difference. You could be a conditioned wrestling athlete and have all this stuff in the world. There's a big difference between that, though, and being on the football field and having to do the drills and the footwork and learning the plays. This is a completely different ballgame for Gable, and I hope that he's able to acclimate, because that's going to be the big thing: is can he acclimate to this style? Which yes, he can handle the physicality because of his Olympic gold wrestling career. But the question is, can he handle the cardio? Can he handle the overall stress of the game? That's going to be interesting to see. It's different pro wrestling. Obviously, pro wrestling, you get an idea of what you're doing, and you just got to plan out the match and make sure you do it right. However, with football, it's unpredictable. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. Injuries, busted plays. Nothing ever usually goes exactly the way it should be. So Gabe's got to be prepared mentally. He's got to be prepared emotionally. He's got to be prepared physically especially when it comes to your cardio and your footwork, and especially mentally when it comes to the stress and when it comes to knowing the plays, knowing where to set up, in this case, defensive tackling, making sure that, make sure keeping the guards at back, making sure that there's, trying to get openings for the defense to get in there and get to the quarterback or get to the receiver. It's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. I'm excited. I mean, I'm pumped to see what he could do, and I hope he does well. But like I said, it's a whole different beast, and I'm hoping he can acclimate very well to this.
And this signing came out of nowhere too, guys.
Yeah.
I mean, just like it was literally towards the tail end of the week last week, and I was like, wow, just unbelievable. Hell, we're thinking, oh, it's just a typical, week is winding down and stuff like that, and then boom, out of nowhere, just this came out of left field and just completely shocked us all.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, what can I say? I mean, Gable Steveson, the guy's going to be great. I mean, he's going to be a part of the defensive line, and he picked a great team to sign for or to sign with. So, and Sean McDermott liked what he saw whenever he came in for an open tryout. So,
yep.
Best of luck to him.
Yep, absolutely. We wish the best to Gable Steveson, and hopefully he can make an impact in the world in the NFL, just like he did in Olympic wrestling. So we'll see what goes from there. Let's get into one of the big things, and that is, of course, well, actually, let's start off with something different, and that is the NHL playoffs. And of course, now we are at the Stanley Cup Finals, and it is set June 8th, first game Saturday. It will be the Edmonton Oilers taking on the Florida Panthers. Of course,
and once again, the Panthers took out the Rangers.
No. It was the Oilers.
Yeah, and the Bruins.
Oh yeah, and the Bruins. Yeah, you're right.
Panthers beat the Rangers in a Stanley Cup in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yep. Dude.
Now,
these are two teams I did not.
I just have one thing to say about this series. have one thing to say about this upcoming series.
What's that?
One thing, it's going to be very, very competitive.
Oh, yeah.
It is going to be competitive. Now, granted, the Florida Panthers are going to have the advantage when it comes to the experience because Florida was just in the Stanley Cup final last year. So they are going to have that experience. But Edmonton, on the other hand, they have three guys named Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, and Zach Hyman who are going to say, you know what? We're not scared of y'all. We haven't been in the Cup Finals since 2006, and we are the third team from Canada to make the Stanley Cup Final in the last 15 years. So we are going to find a way to steal home advantage and just show you what we are made of.
And it wouldn't surprise me if this series goes the distance because
it wouldn't surprise me either.
Hockey, as we all know, is a very unpredictable sport. I mean, anything and everything can happen in the blink of an eye. I mean, a series can look like it's over, and then that one game can single-handedly change the series. And it wouldn't surprise me if this goes 6 or the full 7.
Yes,
and it's really tough to call.
Also keep in mind, that's right. And one thing to also keep in mind that these two teams who will be playing each other both took out their conference's respective number 1 seeds because Edmonton took out the Dallas Stars in 6 games and they won the West, and then the Panthers took out the Rangers in 6 and the Rangers won the East. So that lets you know that these two teams are very competitive, and this is going to be a very hard-fought series.
And as far as the number 1 seeds going down, I was not surprised with the Rangers because it was a matter of time before the Rangers had another playoff collapse. I mean, but with the Stars, that was kind of surprising because just how really well they played even, in the last couple of rounds up until this point. And then that game 5, it was critical because giving up 5 consecutive goals. I mean, just insane,
Yep.
and that right there to me was the turning point of that series because you're tied 2-2, and then you get just pummeled, and all this type of stuff, and they didn't recover. And congratulations to Edmonton, for winning the Western Conference Finals and going to the Stanley Cup Finals, and maybe they can break this curse on Canada because we haven't had a Canadian team to win in years.
No, we haven't. Not since the great Montreal Canadiens teams from back in the early days.
Yep. And if you're a Maple Leafs fan, I'm so sorry for your continuously legacy of failure, but not.
Oof.
Oh, come on. Don't be throwing shade at them.
I mean, come on. I mean, if Tree can do a 40-plus minute video of trashing this team, so can we.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
That video was great, by the way.
Yeah, let's not do that because I can spend an entire show trashing most of the Canadian teams because Blackhawks
And
fan.
one particular state's team, the Cowboys.
Blackhawks fan here, so it's kind of hard not to be bitter. But anyways, yeah, it's a lot to. I agree. This series is going to be a very interesting, very hard fought series. Edmonton was a team I did not expect to make, to make the Stanley Cup. Florida Panthers, I expected to because they've shown a lot of promise the past year or so. They really built that team up.
They had the experience, like you said,
Yeah.
Joey. I mean, this team last year from the war that they had with the Carolina Hurricanes in the Eastern Conference Finals, and then that pretty competitive series last year against Vegas in the Stanley Cup Finals, which they ultimately lost the series. But like the old saying goes, in any given part of life, and when it comes to sports, you got to lose one to win one. And I think the Florida Panthers can
That's
win
right.
this because they have the experience that some of these players in Edmonton do not have.
That is very true. Anything can happen.
Yep, we'll see what happens. Like you said, game one is officially on Saturday. But also let's get into another final, shall we say?
Or before we do that, there is one thing I do want to talk about, and that is the controversy in the WNBA.
Yeah, let's get
with
into that real
one
quick.
Caitlin Clark.
Oh, yes.
Caitlin Clark, of course, Steven, as we know, has had a little bit of a rough time, per se, getting not really acclimated, but more or less, it's just been a rough road for her in the Indiana Fever. They've lost several of their last games. I think it's they've only won one in their last 10 or something like that, or two in their last.
I think the Fever stand at either I think it's 2-9 or 2-10 right now.
They've had a real rough stretch, and Kayla's been mostly shut down. But the big story and the controversy is the physicality and just the overall. Kayla, there seems to be a lot of resentment in the WNBA, especially towards Kayla, because of the fact that she is A, so highly touted, B, the money she's making, the notoriety that she has, being, one of, if not the greatest WNBA player of all time. But obviously, there's positives to her coming in. She's bringing eyes to the product. The women are making more money than ever. They're flying on private jets instead of flying coach or commercial. They're doing, they're getting things that they didn't have in the past. But we're seeing the physicality. We're seeing some of that frustration play out, especially with Angel Reese recently, and Shenedy Carter. Of course, Angel Reese got fined for not talking to the media after a game, because she didn't want to talk about the whole Caitlin Clark thing with her, and when they got into it.
And Carter obviously gets charged with a flagrant one.
Yep.
On that non-basketball, inbounds play where she just elbows Clark. I mean, come on. I mean, if that would have happened within the confines of the game, we're not talking about this because basketball can be physical too. And if that would have been happening in the confines of the game, where they're in the playing field of the game, we wouldn't be sitting here, and none of these major networks wouldn't be sitting here talking about Carter's actions towards Clark. And I think there's a combination of things. I
Absolutely.
think there's a
Don't
combination of
even mention
jealousy and
anything.
envy.
Absolutely. And don't mention anything about, I was just in the heat of the moment. I was want to let everybody know that I'm here to play. I'm here to play the game that I've dreamed of my whole entire life. Being able to go out there and play with these amazing teammates and everything, it's just a real dream of mine. So I was just in the heat of the moment. Nah. Don't give me that crap.
No, and here's the thing.
She actually said that out of her own mouth this morning as I was watching SportsCenter. So, no, don't give me that.
Listen, and that's the thing, Joey, too, and Steven. Carter has a reputation that precedes her. She threatened to fight one of her own players because one of her players told her during a game that she needed to fix her attitude a little bit because she had attitude. And then I think that was the dream she got canned from because of that reason. And then she got suspended indefinitely from another team for what they called conduct detrimental to the team. She got indefinitely suspended until they got rid of her next. So it's not like this is the first time that Carter has opened her mouth and gotten herself in trouble, or has done physicality, got herself in trouble. Like I said, she threatened to fight her own teammate because they told her, "Hey, you need to check yourself at the door there. You need to fix your attitude and not be so confrontational." And she just wanted threaten to fight her. It's like ridiculous. And now you want to say it's physicality?
Absolutely
No.
ridiculous.
Your reputation does not help the words that come out of your mouth. It does not work that well.
And what I don't understand either when it comes to this whole situation is when you look at some of these players that have resentments, and I'll call it jealousy towards Caitlin and what she is bringing to this sport. She is bringing more eyes. Face it, people. She is bringing more eyes to the women's side of professional basketball. And even in her last year with Iowa, I mean, the numbers do not lie. 12 million, 14 million, 18 million for the championship game with Iowa and South Carolina. The numbers do not lie. Like, it is unbelievable. In her last 3 games in college, LSU, Connecticut, and South Carolina, respectively, at least 12 million views. You cannot tell me any collegiate player or even the great Candace Parker in the WNBA. You cannot tell me any of these great these WNBA players have had numbers like this in their careers as far as numbers on television. Because as we all know, professional women's sports in basketball has been pushed to the side for a long period of time, since even when the WNBA came into existence. Predominantly, ESPN is dominated by professional male athlete sports. And ever since Caitlin Clark has came into the picture as not just a top athlete, as a top female athlete, she has brought so many eyes to the product of basketball, not just for men's and women's, but equally, and showing that, hey, even women can do this too. And if you're all of the rookies in that draft class, if you're even, professional women players in the last couple of years, hell, even the last 10 years or so, you should be grateful that this woman is bringing notoriety to your professional product, because it hasn't been given that treatment in the last 20 some odd years.
Yeah.
She alone has changed the game.
She really has. I mean, and there have been a who's who of stars that have played in the WNBA since the league was formed back over 20-something years ago. I mean, you've had players such as Lisa Leslie. You've had players such as Sue Bird, Cheryl Swoops,
Maya Moore,
Candace Parker. I mean, you've had your share of amazing WNBA players that have grace the court for their respective teams. And Caitlin Clark right now is just bringing a whole new era into the WNBA, bringing in some more life, bringing in some more athleticism, more fans. What Caitlin Clark has done, not just in the WNBA or in college, but outside of on the court, everything that she has put to paper as far as contracts, everything that she has done ever since she became a member of the Indiana Fever. It's just amazing what she has done so far in just this short time span. And if things keep up like this, then who knows what could happen for these players, and not just Caitlin Clark, but Cameron Brinks from the Sparks, Angel from the Chicago Sky, and all these other draftees,
and even her former teammate, Kate Martin, who was drafted as well.
Caitlin Clark right now is just ushering in a new era for WNBA basketball, and this is an era that has been long overdue, and somebody has to be at the forefront when it comes to issuing in or ushering in a new era for not just sports in general, for not just men's or women's sports, but sports in general. And Caitlin Clark right now is, and if people have a problem with that, then you're just going to have to work harder.
And you're not seeing the big picture, because somebody has to bring big eyes onto a product. Because if you don't have a big superstar that can, bring in advertisements for your league, you're not going to get a lot of games on ESPN. You're not going to get a lot of games on the big networks. You're not going to get spotlighted on SportsCenter. When you have a Caitlin Clark now in the WNBA after her successful collegiate career with Iowa, now she has the eyes on her, and she's owning the spotlight. Is she going through her struggles? Absolutely. Every top athlete in sports has gone through their shares of ups and downs in their first several years. Michael Jordan didn't have success with the Chicago Bulls until he was struggling.
That's right.
Some players don't struggle when they start out in the league, but some do. It just happens. Look at LeBron. LeBron's been in the league for 22 years. This will be his 23rd year this upcoming year. And his first year with Cleveland, he didn't even go to the playoffs.
And his first trip to the NBA Finals, which was back in 2007,
he got swept.
Swept by the Spurs. And interesting point that you brought there, Stephen, about Michael Jordan. Before MJ was was the catalyst behind the two consecutive, or not really two consecutive, but two three-peats that the Chicago Bulls have won. How many times was he knocked out of the first or second round of the playoffs?
A lot. The most notable series was the Celtics when he dropped 63.
Yeah, and that was when it was just his second year in the pros.
Yes, his
so
second year.
There's still time to grow.
She's a young player. She's got her entire professional career ahead of her. She's in her early 20s. You have to go through your growing pains to get to where you want to be. It's like if you're a singer, if you're a guitar player, if you're a drummer, if you want to get to where you want to out of life with your instrument, you got to go through the growing pains. You got to go through the aches and pains and struggling, questioning yourself. Is this all worth it? Is this worth my time and dignity and getting up every day and perfecting my instrument? In the long run, if you believe in it, yes, it is. Just like Caitlin Clark. I know she has that intensity. I know she has the desire to get up every single day, to get better every day on the court when she goes into practice into the gym. And one day, she will be a champion. One day. Okay. It's not going to happen overtime. Success does not happen overnight, folks.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. Unless you don a pair of Michael Jordan sneakers.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. But real quick back to the NHL before we get into the NBA Finals talk. Joe Pavelski of the Dallas Stars said that he does not intend to play the 2024-2025 season. He has said he hasn't made an official decision, but it looks like more likely he plans to retire. He turns 40
Oh
on July.
wow.
He turned 40 on. He's going to turn 40 on July 11th. And he's been with them since the 2003 NHL draft. He's played for the Stars.
Wow.
He played with the Stars starting in 2019, but before that he was a member of the San Jose Sharks from 2003 until 2019.
Crazy.
So definitely we'll keep an eye on that. But let's get to the NBA Finals, shall we? And it's going to be a very competitive series. It's going to be awesome. It starts this Thursday. And it is of course. Hold on 1 second. My fucking phone just went completely out of whack for a second. Don't know why. Gotta love technology. Here we go. Sorry about that. It is, of course, the Dallas Mavericks and the Boston Celtics.
I love this series. I mean, and before we even get to the series, I mean, we do have to talk about that complete dominant victory by the Mavericks on the road in Game 5, because you would have thought, and Joey, you and I talked about it, and a lot of analysts around the sports world thought that the Minnesota Timberwolves were going to show up, take Game 5 because they're riding this adrenaline, and this momentum wave, and we have a shot if we win this game. And Kevin said it. We all said it. We all thought that the Timberwolves were going to go home, take Game 5, and put the pressure on the Mavericks. Instead, they came home and laid a massive egg, and they got their asses whooped in the process. And Luka Doncic in that first quarter, 20 points to 19, Minnesota outscored the entire ball club on his own. Highlighted by that 35-foot three from the damn logo. I mean, just Luka grabbed that game by the bullhorns and said, I'm going to take over this game and I'm going to win this game for my team. And shout outs to Luka. I know he gets a lot of flack for, that swagger, him talking trash, but I freaking love it. I mean, here's this kid who's fake crying. Luka hits a three and he turns to the kid and he goes, "Who's crying now, motherfucker?" I love it. That swagger, that intensity. I love it. I mean, Michael Jordan for years was notoriously known for being a trash talker in the NBA. Kobe Bryant, trash talking in the hey, getting your shot. Hey, take it, come on. And they're getting in your head. And if you can talk trash and back it up, by all means, keep doing it. Because Luka has that swagger and just unbelievable. And even Kyrie was struggling in the beginning of this game. And that's what I think Luka said, "You know what, boys? Leave it to me. I'm going to get this game started, get this party started." And he did. And then Kyrie got it going. And my goodness, I mean, both of these cats could not miss from the field. 72 combined points. I mean, unreal. I mean, Ant and Cat from Minnesota, they were the only ones that showed up, in Game 5. And the role players, they just could not hit the broadside of a barn. I mean,
wait a minute. You talking about the 7-foot-tall Hello Kitty figurine?
Yes, I believe I'm talking about that Hello Kitty, thanks to Kevin. And it's funny because Kevin texted me. He texted me the next day after the game, and he said to me, he says, "Damn, I guess Karl Anthony Towns did watch our show, because he went from looking like a Hello Kitty to looking like one of the best players in the NBA." I was like, "I know, right?" And I'm like, we inspired him. And I guess it was not enough, because they came home. "Oh, we're happy. Yay! Yay for everything. We didn't get swept. Yay!"
Oh my God. Really? You had to bring up that fucking prop?
Yes, I did. Yay! We come home. We didn't get swept. Yay! We won a game. Yay!
Where's Andre when we need him? Damn it!
We're not getting swept out of the playoffs. Yay!
Yay! We didn't get swept. We got a game in the series. Woohoo! I mean, yeah. Oh my God. I mean,
Where's Andre when you need him?
I know, right? Because he'd be hitting that damn button right now. Yay for everything. I mean, just the Timberwolves. It's like Charles Barkley said. He was like, let me tell you guys something. This is the worst, hideous basketball playing I've ever seen by any team coming home after winning a game 4 and not getting swept. Because unlike the Timberwolves, last year the Celtics trailing 3-0, they took game 4 on the road, came back home, and laid an ass whipping on Miami in game 5 back at home. If you're Minnesota, if you win this game, the pressure goes back on Dallas. You come home and you got your shit kicked in. I mean, the intensity by the Mavericks was on full display, and it's like they were acting like it was game 7. And the Timberwolves were thinking, you know what? Our summer's almost here. Let's pack it in. I mean, just what an embarrassment. You gave this Minnesota fan base hope, who have not been to the conference finals in 20 years. You gave this city hope that we have a chance to do something. You could have been the team that broke the spell of losing 3-0 to do the reverse sweep and win 4 in a row. You didn't do it. You had a chance and you blew it. And you guys know it is hard to win in this league. It is hard to win on a consistent, regular basis these days. That's why we're fixing to get to these finals. It is going to be hard for the Celtics and the Mavericks to get back to this spot because you never know. You may never reach this pinnacle, the top of the mountain ever again. You got to take that spotlight and you got to own it. And if you're the Timberwolves, you had a golden opportunity to change the course of history in professional basketball, what has never been done, and you are just another victim added to the list of the teams that could not win a series trailing 3-0. Because as we all know, it takes that one game to light a spark. And the Timberwolves, it was just a false sense of hope.
I mean, this is going to be a series that's going to go 2 separate ways. It's either going to go the way of the Maverick or it's going to go the way of the Irish. I mean, when you look at these two teams, you see untapped talent on both sides of the ball. Let's take a look at each team's perspective. On Dallas, you have a bona fide international superstar in Luka Doncic. You have a up-and-coming player who's had his struggles over the past several years playing for various franchises, Boston, for example, but has really revamped himself once he put on the blue and white of the Dallas Mavericks, that, of course, being Kyrie Irving. You have an amazing rookie center in Derek Lively stepped up in this rookie season of his, and you got a player or a couple players who they acquired at the trade deadline, most notably PJ Washington, who has become a great three-point shooter and an excellent lockdown defender. Now let's take a look at Boston's perspective. You have the J&J show, as in Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. No doubt the two biggest stars on the Boston Celtics right now, possibly one of the best duos to ever lace up a pair of tennis shoes right now in this day and age. You have other role players around them, such as a man who has been sitting out for the majority, if not all, of the playoffs, who very well could be making his return in Game 1 come Thursday night, that being Kristaps Porzingis, who is a former Dallas Maverick, by the way, home roots. But you also have an absolute defensive stud named Drew Holiday, who not only has revamped his defensive game over the years, but he was the catalyst behind that 2021 NBA championship team of the Milwaukee Bucks. Drew Holiday, he knows how to make a play on the defensive side of the ball, and he also knows how to make plays on the offensive side of the ball on rare occasions. But you mostly hear about Drew Holiday when it comes to defense. But yet, as good a defensive player as he is, he's never been in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year.
And it's a shame because let me add this as well, Joey, when it comes to
shame.
let me add to this as well when it comes to this is a true Defensive Player of the Year candidate, not Rudy Gobert, who's only getting it because he can block shots. Drew Holiday is the true definition of a Defensive Player of the Year candidate.
I mean, as I mentioned, this series is going to go either way. I mean, Luka and Kyrie, they're going to have to step up even more because when it comes to size, Boston has a near advantage when it comes to size.
Yeah.
Not that Dallas doesn't have any linear players because they do have some size in PJ Washington and Derek Lively. But
Boston has Kyrie, Al Horford. They have Derek White.
That's right. That's why Boston also has Al Horford, who's not afraid to knock down a three-pointer every once in a while.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Luka and Kyrie, they're not really two-way guards, but they are good at playing their own game. But going up against this Boston team, who has been known, they have been known for their struggles. Luka and Kyrie know they're going to have to step it up. And
if you're Kyrie, you got to show up because in the first 2 rounds, he was inconsistent. He had moments where he was good. Right. And I would make the argument the only reason why Kyrie, for 4 out of the 5 games in that Minnesota series, the only reason why he was great. Now, don't get me wrong. Even a great player is still going to find a way to get his points. But the reason why I believe that he had 4 out of 5 games in the last round against the Timberwolves where he was so great is because that Minnesota defense just did not defend him very well. They were giving him open lanes to do whatever he wanted. Kyrie was getting the shots that he wanted. Contest the shots. Make them work for their shots. Because we all know Luka's going to get his. Luka can score in many different facets of the game. If you're the Mavericks, Kyrie has to show up, and them role players have to show up. Tim Hardaway has to hit his threes. Derrick Jones has to hit his threes. PJ Washington has to continue to be that sharpshooter from the 3-point line. If you're Derek Lively, if you're Gabbard, if you're any of these players that are the role players, it is your job to know what your role is, hit your shots, play your defense, and give your team a fighting chance to win this series. Because this is a hard series to call. Because even though it's a 1 versus 5, but these teams are pretty evenly matched. I mean, when it comes to the offensive talent, the one concern that I do have with the Mavericks is Luka and Kyrie are not great defenders. And if you're Tatum, if you're Brown, if you're Drew Holiday, and if you're Derek White, you have to capitalize on them not being great defenders. Because if I am the Celtics, I am watching the films that the Clippers had success on them, that the Timberwolves had that 1 game against them, and that the Thunder had. Because let's be honest, for 3/4 of Game 6 in the semifinals, the Thunder owned the Mavericks. They owned the Mavericks in Game 6 on the road. Watch the film, study the film. If you can crack the code of Luka and Kyrie and give Kyrie a minimum, game and not have him go off. If you defend everybody around Luka and corral them, you can win this championship. And if you are the Boston Celtics, those ghosts of the 22 finals will haunt you as long as you don't win a championship. Because this is Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum's second go-round, along with Al Horford and Derek White, at being in the NBA Finals. They have the experiences because they've been there. But Kyrie has experience as well. from going to 4 of those championship series with the Cleveland Cavaliers winning 1, and 2016 winning in Game 7 on the road. So if you are the Celtics, the pressure is there. But I think the Celtics, they're going to use any momentum that they have, because there are media outlets that are picking against the Celtics. And if you are a great team, you look at this stuff and it motivates you. And it's such a hard series to call, because I could see either one of these two teams winning the championship. I think it's going to go 6 or 7.
And Steven, you got to keep in mind, there is another face that is very familiar when it comes to the NBA Finals surroundings, and that is current Dallas Mavericks head coach Jason Kidd. Because keep in mind, the last time the Dallas Mavericks won the NBA championship back in 2011, Jason Kidd was the point guard.
Yep. And Jason Kidd has experience. He has the intangibles of knowing what it's like to win a championship. Because come game 1 on Thursday, the jitters are going to be out for both of these teams, especially for the Mavericks. Because the majority of these players, with the exception of Kyrie, none of these guys have experienced the biggest stage.
And Steven, I know it's been a few minutes or so since I got I didn't want to interject because you guys were having a good conversation, but I got to say one thing about Kyrie. To me, this is the best Kyrie Irving that we have seen in years.
I agree.
Without a shadow of a doubt. He is focused. He is playing better than he's ever been. He has been a teammate. He's done all the right things. It seems like he's gotten out of his head about the whole anti-vaccination thing, the flat earth stuff. All that stuff seems to be behind him now, and he's playing like the old Kyrie Irving. He's playing the Kyrie Irving we saw when he first came in the league, that bad mother trucker of a guard, of a forward, wherever position he plays. He is an absolute monster player, and we know that. It's just that he got in his own head. He got some personal things that kind of came out to the forefront, some issues, this and that, whatever it is, whatever he went through psychologically, emotionally, mentally, whatever. It seems he's got everything level now, and he's playing better than he's ever been. Dallas is a team that, yes, they have championship success. Jason Kidd has had championship success, but we cannot sleep on Boston, because Boston is a team that made the Indiana Pacers, who were dominant, scoring for what? The first 20 games, 130, 140 points a game average. A team that was absolutely decimating teams, making it look effortless, made them look like a complete joke, made them look like a G League team at times, blowing them out. Freaking just absolutely took them out, swept them in 4 games. While Tyrese Halliburton,
and also as well,
sat on the bench.
They out-executed the Pacers when it mattered the most in 3 of these 4 games in crunch time.
Yep. And that's the thing is that they are a crunch time team, and that could be the difference maker between the two teams. But this is going to be a competitive series. I could see this going all 7 games, mind you. This could go.
Sign me up. I'm all here for it.
Oh, I'm all here for 7 games too, brother. This is going to be. And the cool thing is you got the NHL finals where the NHL playoff Stanley Cup, if it goes 7 games, it comes 4 games right after the 7th game of the NBA finals.
So and the good thing is this will not interfere with the scheduling either.
Nope.
This is perfect. That way both championship series get a chance to breathe on their own. And if you are an NBA fan, if you're an NHL fan, if you're a fan of both, you could not ask for nothing better. Because these 2 series are going to be so competitive. I could see both of these championship series going the distance. And if you're the NBA, if you're the NHL, you can't ask for nothing better than that. Because we could be in for some history. Because if the Celtics do win the championship series this year, they'll be banner number 18 and their first title since 2008.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Go ahead, Joey.
How about I say so? Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and give my predictions on both series.
All right, let's do it.
For the NHL Stanley Cup, I'm going Florida Panthers in 6.
You know what?
I think Edmonton has what it takes to make this somewhat a competitive series, but Florida's talent plus that experience is going to equal a little bit more. That's going to be needed out of Florida, and Florida's not going to disappoint. So I'm going Florida Panthers in 6. As far as the NBA Finals is concerned, whenever I was talking to Steven the other day, I told him Boston in 6, but now I take that back because now that I've really done some research and know that what each team is made of, I'm going with a surprise pick here. Okay. Dallas in 7.
I like that.
I'm going Dallas in 7.
Ooh. Okay. As far as the Stanley Cup Finals go, I'm going with the same pick you are. You must have been reading my mind because I had that locked in my head before you even said anything, dude. I'm going with the Panthers in 6. It's gonna be a tough. They're gonna be tough games. Don't get me wrong. It's not gonna be easy, but I think that Florida is just on another level right now. Edmonton, they're playing great hockey, but Florida has been dominant all season long, and it's going to be no different. For as far as the NBA Finals, it's tough to root against Boston because Boston's had success, but I gotta go with Dallas at 7 as well. Dallas at 7. I think that with Jason Kidd, who knows how to win a championship, who knows how to have that sort of success leading this young team, I could see Dallas raising another banner for the first time since 2011. So it's a hard choose because I could go Boston either way in the same way Boston game 7, but I'm gonna go with Dallas in that 7 games. Let's go.
As far as the Stanley Cup for me, I'm gonna go with Florida, but in 7.
Okay.
Oh.
And as far as the NBA is concerned, like this series is so hard to call because on one hand, I could say Boston, but it's like Kevin said to me and to you, Joey, Saturday we went to a birthday party for his daughter. And he said that the Celtics have had their times where they have not shown up. And if you are the Celtics, you cannot show up in any of these games and act like, especially when you're at home, you can't show up and act like, we're going to win this game. We're going to show up. We're going to win the game automatically. No, you have to show up, put on your sneakers, put on your, your basketball uniform to get out there, put on that jersey and do what you got to do and win the game. The games don't come to you. You have to go out there and win the game yourself. And Kevin hit the nail on the head when it comes to the Celtics because there have been times they came home and they have been flat. And it is so hard to pick against Boston because the success that they have had, proving the doubters wrong. But I have to agree. I'm going to go with Dallas because it's going to be so hard to stop Luka and Kyrie. But if we're wrong, it wouldn't be surprised because the Celtics have proven everybody wrong that's went against them. And I'm going to agree with you guys. I'm going to go with the Mavericks in 7 as well. It's going to be a competitive series. Would I be surprised if Boston wins this series in 6 or 7? No. They're supposed to win because they are the number 1 seed. They won 64 games in the regular season. They've been dominant in crunch time. But it's the ebbs, it's the flows. I'm hoping that this series is going to be so competitive because it has the makes of it. Because we are now in a prime spot in the NBA where parity is ultimately happening. Because either one of these two teams, it's like I said before we went into this whole breakdown of the championship series. If you're Boston, if you're Dallas, you better win this one. One of you is winning. And whoever does, you better be thankful because this opportunity may not come around again. Because in this day and age in the NBA, it is hard to win back-to-back years and make it back to the finals. If you're the Celtics, you have to use your experience that you have had being in this spot, losing to the Golden State Warriors in 6 games. Use this as motivation to fuel your fire, to make you play even harder than that you played before. And if you're the Mavericks, if they go on to win this series, they've earned it because they have beaten the top teams in the West to reach this part, of their season. And I was expecting them to win at least the first series. Second series, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I think they can win this one too. But we were all expecting Denver to come out of the West. If Denver would have won their series against Minnesota, I'm outright picking against Dallas in the conference finals. Because that's the thing about Luka and Nikola is Nikola and Luka are so 1A and 1B, from each other as far as how they are as players. They're so hard to guard. And man, it's going to be a fun series on both ends. And I'm so glad that the schedules will not interfere with either one of these games. Each game will have their chance to own the spotlight of the sports world for that night. And I think that this is going to be great for both the NHL and for the NBA. And let's hope that these series are both competitive.
Oh, they will be.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and let's go ahead and talk a little. Let's talk a little Major League Baseball for a second. And Joey, I know you said you got a thing about the Atlanta Braves you want to talk about. I'll just say this much on my team, or shall we say on both teams in Chicago. 4 words. Yeah, we both fucking suck. My Lord in heaven, dude. I am ashamed to be a White Sox fan at this point. I am ashamed to even associate with the Cubs. It's like, come on, boys. But it is what it is. It's hopefully one of my Chicago teams does better this year, aka my Bears. We'll see what happens. But that's beyond the point. Obviously, season's going, injuries, here we go, blah, 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 blah. The traditional stuff. Obviously, what we do got to get into is the breaking news that came out of baseball earlier today, and that was that I believe it's Tucolipto Marcano from the Pittsburgh Pirates has been banned for life for violating Major League Baseball's anti-gambling policy.
Yes, he was. Because reports were going around that he was gambling on games whenever he was a member of the Milwaukee Brewers last year. And now it has come back to bite him.
Yep, absolutely. And four minor leaguers are also punished, too, with punishments, including 1-year suspensions from the league. So,
wow.
So some breaking news coming down there. Joey, I know you wanted to talk about your Atlanta Braves real quick and what's going on with them. I haven't been paying too much attention to baseball as much lately because of everything NHL and all that. And also, too, been a lot of wrestling this weekend with GCW with their tournament of survival and cage of survival events. And, of course, everything going on with Raw, Uncle Howdy, Liv Morgan, all that stuff. That's for the Nation's Corner to discuss. But let's get on to what you got to talk about with the Atlanta Braves. Floor's yours, my friend.
Well, since you gave 4 words about your Chicago team, I'm going to up the ante and I'm going to give you 6 words in regards to the Atlanta Braves. They are stinking up the field. They are stinking up the field. Yes, we do have a winning record. Yes, we do have hope in regards to hopefully, potentially being the Philadelphia Phillies for the NL East this year. But as of right now, Atlanta is stinking up the field. I mean, we have already lost 2 of our star players to season-ending injuries or season-long recovery surgeries. That, of course, we lost Spencer Strider, who unfortunately had to have Tommy John surgery for a second time. And, of course, as everybody knows, a few weeks ago, we lost star outfielder Ronald Acuna to a second ACL in the last 3 years, this time on his other knee. Now, whenever it comes to a team that deals with these unfortunate injuries, the slogan or the statement that these teams need to keep in mind is next man up. And Atlanta right now is not doing it. Granted, the only person that's really pulling the weight right now for the Atlanta Braves is Marcell Ozuna. He's the one that is getting these hits. He's the one that's knocking the ball over the fence. He's making defensive plays whenever necessary. So I give him mad props for that. Mad props to Marcell Ozuna. But when you have a core lineup that has players such as Ozzy Albies, Matt Olson, Austin Riley, Orlando Arcia, Max Fried, I mean, when you have all those talented players playing on a baseball diamond, game in and day out, week in and week out, day, week, month, year, whatever. When you have that elite talent on your field playing baseball for your respective team, you would think that more would be expected out of them. And last year, passed all standards because we had a great hitting coach. Brian Snitker didn't do half bad of a job as manager, but I honestly believe that the reason why we haven't done so well this year with hitting the ball is because we lost our hitting coach. And our hitting coach was none other than former Major League Baseball manager and current, I should say, Major League Baseball manager of the Los Angeles Angels, Ron Washington. When Ron Washington was our hitting coach, and back in the early 2000s where Terry Pendleton was our hitting coach, we were smacking the screens off the ball. We really were, because we had such great talent to put on the diamond, and we could depend on them to get hits whenever they were needed most. I mean, think of all the players that we've had lace up for the Atlanta Braves over the past number of years. We've had Rafael Furcal, great shortstop. We have two of the best catchers in the game, in Javi Lopez and Brian McCann. We've had some great outfielders, such as Andrew Jones, Brian Jordan. We have had amazing infielders, such as Freddie Freeman, Dansby Swanson. We've had Fred McGriff in the infield. And quite honestly, my favorite all-time player from the Atlanta Braves, the one and only Chipper Jones. Chipper Jones has been, he's always going to be my favorite player for the Atlanta Braves because of the leadership and the tenacity that he brought to this franchise. But something is definitely not right with the Atlanta Braves and right now. And if they want to even think about making a deep run to the playoffs, more importantly, winning the National League East, they need to get up off their lazy butts, Brian Snitker in general, and fix it. Because this mindset, this mentality, this whatever sort of game plan that Snitker is trying to instill in these players right now, it's not working. So yeah, we do have a winning record right now, and I'm proud of that. But at the same time, changes need to be made, or we are not going to be finding a way back to the playoffs at the end of the year. Just saying.
No, I do agree. Agree from what your perspective is. It's from what I can tell from your perspective. Yeah, there has to be some changes made to to try to get this team back on track. Same thing with mine. By the way, you mentioned your all-time favorite Braves player, Chipper Jones. You take a guess who my all-time favorite White Sox player is.
Let me see. It could be quite a few players, but I'm gonna go with the one player that I have heard the most of when it comes to the Chicago White Sox. I'm gonna go with the great Paul Konerko.
Bingo.
Ha ha! Nice.
My top three. Paul Konerko, Mark Burley, and AJ Pierzynski.
Nice.
And then in the number 4 slot, I got to give it to Joe Creedy. So there you go.
Nice. But yeah, I would say my top 3 favorite Braves players: Chipper Jones, Andrew Jones, John Smoltz.
A lot of Braves Jones.
Great, and with Greg Maddux being very, very close.
Let's let's get into we're gonna get close to the end of the show here, but we gotta talk about some MMA, and that is of course UFC 302 happened this weekend, and a hell of a main event between Islam Makhachev and Dustin the Diamond Poirier, and what a fight that was. The 5th round came to pass, and Makhachev got Dustin in a guillotine choke, and that was all it took, man.
Oh, thank God that fight saved that horrible card. I mean, it was not a good card. I mean, predominantly.
The main event was great, but the card itself was very weak compared to other cards. But we got a card this month to look forward to involving a certain Irishman and his mortal enemy, a former Bellator champion. So I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, Michael Chandler.
Michael Chandler and the notorious Conor McGregor. So, the
fight that had me all pissed off was the Sean Strickland fight. That one judge, what the hell are you watching? Hello? I know I'm blind, but you need to have your eyes checked too. I mean, seriously, what fight are you watching? I mean, 49-46. Hassa. What the living fuck was that? You're causing the 2 other judges to go against your shitty score? Because the minute that Bruce Buffer rattles off 49-46 Hassa, you hear a what? You hear several whats being said in the crowd and a gasp in the New Jersey crowd. Because even he looked shocked. Like, what? You're picking me? Yeah, he's picking you. He blindsided you. Because even he knew, I'm not winning this fight. But why the hell not? Let's put a judge out there in front of the octagon to score a fight who doesn't know a thing or two about scoring MMA fights.
I've seen better judgment from the Jersey Shorecast than I've seen from this judge.
And poor Joe Rogan having to come in there and play nice, like these 3 judges, they scored the fight tonight. Yay! And
yay for everything.
And he's kissing ass over there. You know, it was a good fight. Bullshit! It wasn't a good fight. And then you got Daniel Cormier over there going, how is one judge calling it one way and the second judge is calling it another? Because clearly the first 2 judges were not watching the same fight. The second judge knew what the hell was going on. But that first judge, he was like, nope, I'm going to go against the grain because why not? And Strickland called it out. He said it was a boring fight. Sorry, guys. Yeah, I'm sorry, too, because I had to suffer just like everybody else in that crowd had to suffer. And all of those who paid for this sack of shit, had to sit there and suffer. Well, Costa's over there going, I don't want to fight you. You're an MMA fighter. Fight. You're getting paid to fight.
And while Dana White's sitting there next to Trump counting his money.
Oh, dear God. I mean, the majority of these fights this past Saturday was not good. It was not good.
No, it was like I said, Steven, it was one of the more weak cards this year. And there's been some strong cards, but this one was not built very well.
Not good. Not really good.
I could understand why though, because I know a lot of it's a lot of front loading towards these mega fights, like with, for instance, with Conor McGregor, Michael Chandler. I get that, setting up fights for that, and also a lot of it also has to do with medical suspensions, things like that.
Right.
I completely get that. Injuries, I completely get that. A lot of things factor into making these cards, just like in pro wrestling. It's the same thing when you make a card for Raw, SmackDown, a live event, NXT, AEW, GCW. It doesn't matter. Anything like that. Any factors can do that, and I see why they're doing what they're doing. Obviously, because Conor McGregor, Michael Chandler is going to be a much bigger fight than Makhachev and Dustin Diamond Poirier.
And that fight was great, and that saved the card. Like, it was a very well-paced fight. They both fought great. It was very well-paced, and just the strategy that both fighters brought into the fight, like, it was really well done. I mean, at one point, Dustin looked like he had the fight, and then Islam just, he saw an opening, and he went for it, and he got it, and he retained the title.
Oh, and yeah, definitely. Anything else you guys want to talk about real quick? Because I do have one note. That there was I know that the other day Pat McAfee made a certain comment that was apparently taken out of context about Caitlin Clark on the Pat McAfee show.
Yes.
But he, of course, apologized and didn't mean. He even said, "I didn't mean it the way I meant it. That was not meant to the way." I'm not going to get into the details of it because obviously it's past, it's done. People are, of course, overreacting as usual, wanting to get Pat McAfee suspended from ESPN when he already apologized. But whatever, you know what? That's just my mentality. It's always like that, whether it's cancel culture, whether it's this, that, your sister's ass, whatever it is. But you know what? Pat's a good dude. Pat's a good person. He probably didn't even mean it in that retrospect. So, you know what? Whatever. It is what it is. It's over with now. It's let's just all move on, so that way we can just get back to what we love seeing, and that is Pat McAfee yeeting all over Monday Night Raw. Yeet,
yeet,
yeet.
So, anything else you guys want to hit before we round out the show for today?
I will say real quick, how very cool for Jordynne Grace. I mean, to be wrestling tonight on NXT.
Oh yeah, I was watching the match a little bit while I was talking to you guys. And she looked good, man. She was out there physical as all hell. She hit that juggernaut driver. I know that was a concern with Bully, was that pump handle sit-out driver she likes to hit. Sometimes it comes very close to landing on the person's neck because of the way it is. It's like the Penta driver, the JML driver of Swerve Strickland, made in Japan from Shingo Takagi. It's a very, very it can be dangerous at times, but she hit it perfectly on Stevie Turner. And this is beyond amazing. I mean, this in the fact that we could see more later on from this, not only from Jordynne, but from other TNA talent. And people are teasing everything from Joe Hendry showing up on NXT or Clash at the Castle to the Rascals getting back together with the OG3 with Wentz, Wesley, and Trey Miguel. It's all different things. Moose coming over, or Eddie Edwards, or even whatever it may be. I'm excited for this. I can't wait to see what goes on. But Jordynne, she killed it tonight, man, and I cannot wait for the event at the Apex coming up this week with NXT Battleground. So should be a great show.
Agree.
All right.
Agree.
Any of you guys want to hit up any more topics before we, like I said, what are you have to show up for today?
I think I'm good.
I think I'm good.
All right, let's go. Final thoughts, Joey Thornton. You're up, bud.
Once again, another great show with you guys. Awesome talk on the NBA, the NHL, and Major League Baseball, UFC, whatever we wanted to talk about. We covered it here in this little hour and a half to almost 2 hour show. But yeah, the NBA Finals and Stanley Cup Finals are going to be starting up later on in the week. So check your local listings. And if you are an NBA, NHL, or both of fans of both sports, then enjoy the game ones. And we will see you back here next week. And I do want to point out that more than likely, I will be going to another local wrestling event in the Rockingham area, and there is a very interesting match that's going to happen. Not just the fact that it's going to be there's going to be a three-way ladder match at the very end, but there is also going to be a very interesting stipulation between two tag teams. It is going to be a fans bring the weapons match. So that means the fans can bring just about anything, whether it's a steel chair, whether it's whatever you want to bring, even if it's a trash can, you can bring it. So chances are I'm going to be tuning in to that event on Saturday night at the Fallen Creek Gym. If you're around the local area, stop by and check it out, because you're going to see some pretty good wrestling. But that's it for me. Enjoy the NBA Finals. Enjoy the Stanley Cup Finals. Enjoy NXT Battleground on Sunday night. If you are a wrestling fan, peace out. See y'all next week.
Absolutely. And Steven, I'm going to have you close out the show since you are in charge of the video right now due to some issues with Google Drive. So I'll give my final thoughts. Obviously, thank you to everybody for joining us. You know, everybody watches the show live, on demand. We thank you guys for your support as always. Anybody who was in the chat, we thank you also for joining us as well. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends and family on this video. Our individual social medias are at the bottom, are in the description in the video, as well as at the bottom as well. So if you want to follow us on our individual social medias for our own escapades, follow us there. Also, real quick, I want to send out a couple of congratulations in the world of pro wrestling, and that is congratulations to the Duke of Hardcore, John Wayne Murdoch, on winning the 9th annual Tournament of Survival. Congratulations to Mance Warner on winning the GCW World Championship after a chaotic night at Cage of Survival, losing to Effie in the actual cage match, but cashing in his do or die battle royal spot, his win to win the GCW World title for the first time ever. So congrats to old Manser, heading to the pay window big time. Also want to throw out this too as well. Also want to say this as well, is that check out June 9th, Best of the Super Junior Finals is going to take place at Dominion as the main event. El Desperado, I believe it's El Desperado versus Ishimori, if I'm not mistaken, with the winner getting an IWGP Junior Heavyweight title shot later on. Jon Moxley versus Evil in a lumberjack match with House of Torture on Evil's side, and the third generation of New Japan, Tiger Mask, Yuji Nagata, Togi Makabe, Hama, and others joining and Shota Umino joining Mox's side in this crazy lumberjack match. So check that out at Dominion. And I believe there was one other thing. I'm trying to remember right now if it was something, another congratulations or whatever. No, I think that's it. But big crazy weekend coming up. Nation's Corner will have it covered this Saturday. Obviously, it's going to be an exciting week of pro wrestling. So check them out. But until then, and in between time, we will see you guys next week. Steven, close out the show, my friend. Catch you all later. Too sweet, everybody.
Yep, great show with you guys. And for those that watch this show on demand, thank you very much for tuning in tonight. We had a great time, talking about all things sports. We covered a little bit of everything: NFL, NBA, NHL, MLB, UFC, all of that good stuff. And can't wait to do it again next week and recapping the next couple of games in the NBA and Stanley Cup Finals next week. And great show with you guys, and looking forward to next week. So with that being said, for Ezra Vickery, for Joey Thornton, for K-Rock, Kevin Roy, Randy Gyron, William Gyron, I'm Stephen Wyand, and this has been another edition of our Nation Sports Show. Take care, everybody. Have a great rest of your week. Peace.
Turn me up.